What is going on, jerk faces? It's your boy Andy, here again with Nocturnal Transmissions presented to you by the Circle of Jerks podcast. Conversation that we could be having during the day, but we're having at night. With me, as always, is the homeboy Rob.
What's going on, guys?
Alright, so let's get this conversation going.
Well, as always, we always kind of talk about our weeks and how everything went. So I actually haven't. This is one of the rare weeks I didn't see you like 900 times. So how was your week, man?
Right. Yeah, I was a little. What was it? Have I gotten that old that I can't even remember what I did on the weekend? Oh, I know what I did. I kind of got a little hammered.
Oh.
Yes.
For good reasons or bad reasons?
Generally good. I mean, I was, just out having a good time, and I wasn't intending on drinking so much, but it just ended up happening that way. And actually, it kind of messed up my voice. I don't know if it's noticeable, but I don't know. I think, does my voice sound any different than normal?
Doesn't sound different per se, but I know you've been talking at a little bit of a lower octave today. You're a little bit more chilled.
I see. Yeah, no, it's I got what is it? I did a bit of yakking. Not proud of it, but
not fun.
Not fun, yeah. And so, yeah.
Well, hey, I remember you hugging my toilet when we met, so.
What was that?
I remember you hugging my toilet when we first met, so.
Yeah. I think this time might have been worse, because
might have been worse.
Might have been worse, because my throat feels all sorts of thrashed.
Oh,
so,
yeah, that's.
Again, I apologize if I've shattered any illusions about myself to the from our viewers. I'm sorry. I'm not a drunkard, but I do drink. So.
Well, we drank on the podcast before, so it's kind of.
That's true. Yeah.
So, but sometimes you have a little bit too much fun.
Sometimes I
have
too much fun. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. Because I also happened to be, because I also happened to have run into a few nice young ladies, and we're having a good time.
Very nice.
We're having a good time.
It's always a good thing. Andy putting on his charm.
Yes, this is true.
Yeah. Let me ask you, because I've noticed this more as I've gotten a little bit older, and I actually haven't really been. I don't drink all that much, and I haven't really been drinking all that long, to be honest.
Right.
But I noticed that as I've gotten older, the recovery the next day is really bad. It takes a while. Are you starting to notice that a little bit, where it takes a little bit to just feel back to normal?
A little bit, if I'm to be honest. What was it? Yeah, I didn't necessarily feel it all that much Sunday, during the day, but I was feeling it a little bit on Monday, which is kind of odd. If I'm to be honest,
that's a little weird,
right? Because Sunday, what is it? Yeah, because Sunday, I still got up, still have to do all the normal things that I have to do, but I didn't feel horrible. And I got at least 6 hours of sleep, and so. And I did my very best to stay hydrated. and what is it? Yeah, and you know, I didn't have like a full day, like 6 a.m. to whatever, but I had a full day. But yeah, I didn't feel anything. I didn't feel anything. Yeah, until the next day, which is strange to say the least. But I was like, yesterday I was tired and I was a little bit fatigued. And,
Yeah, that's a bit odd. Like,
yeah.
yeah, no, I noticed like sometimes like even if I only like a little bit, like I feel really hot the next day. Like like not that I have like a fever or anything. I just feel really hot, and I don't know if that's just because it's like summer or whatever. And it's just been a little bit warmer. But man, it's gotten to the point where I get like really hot, and I'm like, do I really like want to drink today? Because I don't want to feel like really sweaty and nasty the next day, which is so I've been trying to slow down a lot, so like I only have like a few drinks here or there.
Right. I mean, being Asian, I have to I have a lot of things I have to contend with because one, we don't we don't have like that enzyme to help us metabolize alcohol and what is it? And there's always the kind of the stereotype of the angry Asian drunk that that we always have to go against. So and there's always like the redness thing that the
oh
redness
yeah, you guys get
from the alcohol. Yeah, especially in my family. Just I don't know about my family specifically, but we have like a thimble of like of alcohol, and we're like red as a beet.
True.
And so I always have to, before I go out and like, if I know I'm gonna drink, I have to make sure that my stomach is full and like preferably with carbs, to help absorb the alcohol, and then I have to take a Pepsid, to help with the redness, and so. But luckily for me, I'm not one of those angry drunks. I'm a loud drunk, I'm a happy drunk. I'm a happy drunk, but I'm not an angry drunk, which I'm very grateful for.
So yeah, you're not getting into fights that we had to like, oh crap, here we go.
I know, I was like, oh crap, Andy's starting shit again.
It's like, why do we bring him with us? God,
right.
I don't want to get into a fight every time I'm here trying to protect this dumbass.
Right. Quickly, we do have some people in chatting as we are streaming right now, and let me just
that's awesome.
Yeah. Let's see. That white guy is gay as shit. Okay.
That would be.
Robert drinks like a fish. It's like that's because you're old. That's because you're old as fuck. Are you okay? Are you? Oh, Rob said. Yeah. Daryl Rob says hi.
Oh yeah, I think. Well, Daryl. I'm assuming that's Daryl from who we've had on the podcast before.
Yes, aka Santa. AKA Santa.
Yep. Good friend of ours. The other guy I don't know, another crazy person that's on.
Oh, Brandon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, my week was pretty. I had the interview that I did last week. That went, pretty okay, I think. And then, next day after that, I went to the Getty Museum. Toured there for a little bit. Hadn't been there in a few years, so and it was mostly free other than parking.
Yeah.
Did that. Went bowling, and then Friday went to the Griffith Observatory, and that was really fun. The show that they had there was really awesome. It was the
the light show.
Yeah, they have like 3 different shows there. The one that we went to was one based off of like how water is so important to life, and how they're searching for water on like Mars and other planets, and if there's potential, had there been life before, is there potential for life, yada yada yada, all that stuff. So, overall the show is just very interesting. It's kind of cool to have that, essentially the 360 like motion capture film. So you're just looking up and it looks so real, which is crazy. So that was a lot of fun. Other than that, mainly like church stuff and all the usual. Nothing too exciting. Yeah, I didn't swashbuckle like yourself.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, you said that you went to. Wait, you said you went to Getty Center or Getty Villa?
No, I went to the museum, so the center.
Well, I mean, they're both museums, but is that the one off Sepulveda?
I went to the one. I went
or
to
the one in Malibu.
Museum.
What was it?
No. I went to the one up just down the 405 a little bit.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so you went to the center.
Yeah. I went to Getty Center.
Okay. Yeah. That place. Yeah, I like. The garden is really beautiful. Especially towards like sunset time. I remember I took a shot once where there was like these big billowing clouds looking north from like on the opposite side of the garden when you look there's like the waterfall and then you can see like the whole building and all the buildings and things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember I was there for a trip and there was like these big beautiful billowing like almost like I think they're cumulus nimbus clouds, but they're like they're behind the buildings and such. And I took a picture of it, and then it reminded me of it reminded me of Mount Olympus.
Oh yeah, that'd be a really cool shot. There's the way that building is kind of on the side of the hill and stuff like that. There was a book series I used to read, and one of the buildings that they described in that book always reminded me of when the Getty Center went up. It's like, oh man, that's how I pictured that from the book that I was reading. So it was kind of, I always thought it was the architecture and like where it's located was very interesting. And it's one of those buildings that you, as you're coming up the 405, it's really visible and you know exactly what it is.
Yeah, but also the villa is very picturesque as well, especially at sunset.
Yeah. That might be the next thing I check out is the villa, because I'm curious to check that, see what that was all about.
Yeah, just going there like right around sunset, and just letting that afternoon sunlight warm up the stone, and it's very picturesque, and so.
Having a hard time talking there, Andy?
Yeah. I got a hard time with my words. Okay, I got a hard time with my words.
I didn't know you were drinking scotch before the episode started.
None of your business, alright? It's none of your business.
Yeah. Other than that, like nothing too much too exciting going on. I've just been, watching some stuff on Netflix.
Have you? Defenders dropped last week.
I'm getting ready to watch that actually.
I didn't binge it, but I broke it. There's only 8 episodes this season.
Oh, there's only 8 episodes.
Yeah,
okay,
so I basically broke it up four. I watched 4, so 2 days. But I definitely liked it. I enjoyed it a lot.
Okay. Oh, that's good because I'm rewatching the 4 shows. I finished up Jessica Jones. I'm watching Daredevil right now, and then I'll be doing Luke Cage and Iron Fist, and then I'm gonna watch Defenders again because I want to make sure I kind of want to have myself refreshed on the characters and the story of what's gonna take place in Defenders, like who the bad guys are and stuff. But yeah, it's kind of the whole the shows are really well done. I kept hearing oh yeah, it's really awesome. You got to check it out. And sometimes I'm like, I don't know. Everyone seems so hyped up about it, and I know I'm worried that if I start watching it, it's it's okay. or like I end up hating it.
Mm-hmm.
But no, they're really good. The weakest of the four I think is Iron Fist, but it's still interesting enough.
I mean, Iron Fist was definitely, it was I wouldn't say dead on arrival, but it felt very rushed, and like not as much time was. It felt like there wasn't not enough time was put into crafting and like making sure like certain things were fleshed out, and I think the show suffered from it.
Yeah, did they fix some of? Well, I don't know how much they used Iron Fist in Defenders, but do you think that they used his character well at least? Because because Iron Fist really felt like a huge setup for like what's going to happen in Defenders to me.
Yeah, I mean, granted, the entire season for Iron Fist, it definitely felt as just like a big setup for Defenders. I mean, that's kind of like the same criticism people threw when with Iron Man 2. They're like, oh man, this is just a setup for Avengers.
Yeah, it kind of was.
Yeah. But I mean, Iron Man 2 was still like a decent movie.
Solid.
It was still solid. I mean, in my opinion.
And and Iron Fist was solid enough. I mean, I liked the character. I thought the story was interesting enough at least. And it's kind of cool to see how they have some of the recurring characters in them, and like how they contribute to the story, and like how they really do connect in a way. And I can't wait until they do the Punisher for Netflix. That's gonna be really killer.
Oh yeah, dude. John Bernthal, man, I really dug his portrayal of the Punisher.
He was the perfect casting for that.
Yeah, and I think it was great because I think he was like drawing from a lot of different sources and different like iterations of Punisher as well, which I think made it I think his performance all the more stronger.
Definitely.
So, I mean, everyone kind of shits on, or not shits on, but they don't think very highly of the Thomas Jane Punisher. But I still enjoyed that one, for what it was.
Yeah, I felt like they did a pretty decent job with that one. It was fairly well acted and stuff like that. But yeah, a lot of people took a dump on that. But the guy who the portrayal of the Punisher in the movie was decent enough.
Yeah, I mean, I felt it was very grounded, and but it was still like kind of comic book-esque. I mean, especially with like. You have the villain as John Travolta, and how much more comic booky like villain can you get than John Travolta?
But this iteration of the Punisher, man, like John Bernthal, like he just you believe his performance so well. Like it's like, man, he's first you're like, man, like he's going crazy and he's kind of a huge dick, but the way that they kind of portray the depth of his character and like why he is the way that he is, I think they did a great job of it.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's the Punisher is like one of my favorite Marvel characters, and just how tragic a figure he really is.
Mm-hmm.
But so I've always liked that actor too. I thought he did he was in The Walking Dead for a time, and he did a great job playing the character that he did. Kind of a similar, very dark, tragic character as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that he's definitely captures that type of character when he acts. Like he can play that kind of dark, tragic figure in a bunch of different stuff. So they definitely filled in the role of the Punisher really well.
Yeah, absolutely. Whoa.
More comments?
Just what was it?
I was saying you have something to say.
Oh no, well not to add anything to that you said, but we do have some comments here that, if you don't mind, I would like to.
Oh yeah, let's go for it.
I guess okay. I guess Rob and Daryl was talking. When we were talking about the alcohol, it says you get. Oh, it says you get hard, but I think he meant hot. But you get hot because your body is fighting off the alcohol just like a fever.
Oh, that could be, yeah.
Yeah. And I
But
guess
yeah, it was one of those things where it didn't used to be that way. Like a few years ago, I didn't have that issue where I was just like super hot. Like, but I've just noticed it, the last little bit. So I'm wondering if so I've been kind of like not drinking as much just because I don't like that feeling.
Perhaps. I mean, yeah. I have to be very careful when I drink. Also, let me see. They do a lot of weddings at that garden. Probably talking about when we were talking about the Getty.
Mm-hmm.
Brandon said that he was there 3 weeks ago. I'm not gonna read that one, Brandon.
I guess that was a fairly inappropriate comment, I'm assuming.
Slightly, but I'm not gonna get into it. Defenders. Brandon says Defenders is good. 8 episodes was watching in one day. Way better than Iron Fist. He says. He says Danny Rand is a P word.
Oh, yeah, he kind of is.
Yeah, I mean,
bit,
he's way better in Defenders than he was in his own show. Written and acted a lot better. I agree. I concur. Yeah. Let's see. I guess this is when we were talking about Punishers. Like, Travolta sucked in that movie. Everyone else was great. To each their own.
As far as like as John Travolta's acting goes and like some of the villains he played, yeah, I would agree that his villainry in The Punisher was kind of weak.
Yeah, I mean, if I was to describe it, I would describe it as kind of a watered down version of his performance in Face Off.
I was just gonna say that. Yeah, that's exactly what I was.
Yeah, kind of like, trying to be manic and menacing, but it's just, didn't pay off. He didn't deliver it quite right.
Yeah, and it was kind of that version of Frank Castle in that movie is opposed to Netflix's portrayal of him, where he went through this whole kind of trying to trick Travolta's character and like all this stuff and like to get to him, whereas this iteration of the Punisher is just like, I'm coming right at you and I don't give two craps about like and getting shot up and like he's just powering through. I mean, like there's like one episode of that he's on in Daredevil where, I mean, he has like a drill. He got drilled through the foot and he's getting his face beat in. He got shot in the side and he's still kicking their ass.
Yeah. But you know what? You talking about it? That Thomas Jane Punisher. How he goes about getting his revenge or exacting his punishment.
Yeah.
It was very Count of Monte Cristo.
Right. That's kind of, it felt very much like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, which I didn't mind. I didn't mind it that much, but yeah. But John Bernthal's Punisher, where he's just like, no shit's given. Just going out there, killing indiscriminately. I mean, what more can you ask for?
Yeah, well, because that was always the iteration of the Punisher that I liked the most when I would read the comics and stuff. I like that just ass kicking, like I don't give a crap. He's running off of sheer anger and will.
Right. Yeah. Oh, quick thing. Brandon asks, "You guys watch Game of Thrones?" I still haven't gotten into it.
What? Okay.
I still haven't gotten into it.
You need to immediately start watching that show.
I know. I mean, don't Game of Thrones shame me.
Dude, that show is you gotta watch it, man. It's so good.
That's what I keep hearing, and I know, but
I'm behind on this season, but I'm not. But see, now that you haven't watched it, so I can't talk about it.
Fine. It's funny because me and James had kind of this exact same conversation with the homegirl Christina.
Oh, was she telling you guys that you need to watch it?
Yeah, because it was probably a couple of Saturdays ago, and we were just hanging out, and what was it? She asked if we watched Game of Thrones, and she, and then she, again, she had kind of the same reaction as you, and was disappointed.
Man.
And then she even said oh, the only reason why I started watching Game of Thrones is because apparently one of her exes was really into it, and he wanted to talk to her about it, with her, but I mean the relationship didn't last, but her love of Game of Thrones I guess was sparked on that day.
Now, because normally, you know me, I don't necessarily just jump into the hype of a show or whatever. I watch what I want to watch and what interests me.
Mm-hmm.
But I finally I kept getting berated to watch it. All right, fine, I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna watch this and see if it's really as good as they say.
Mm-hmm.
Now, before I knew it was going to be somewhat good because I've read the books. The story itself is very good.
Right.
But it's one of those things where I didn't want to be disappointed where the show was not as good as the book.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of the few times where I actually think the show is better than the book, way better. I never say that about anything.
Well, because isn't the book slightly more fantastical? That's what I'm hearing.
No, okay. There's a few things that they don't.
There's more kind of fantasy elements to it than there are that they're presenting in the TV show. There's a lot that's actually very close to the and George R. Martin is the one that's writing, helping to write the script of the show too, as well. So I mean, he's very hands on. So it is, it's not like some jackass is just taking his idea and just run with it. He's been very engrossed in what's going on with the show. Right.
So it's George R. Martin's baby.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I think a lot of it, the stuff that he maybe more or less didn't like from the book, he's made a few slight adjustments.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that there's a few things that they don't necessarily get into in the show, or as much detail in the show, just because it's not really all that important to the story. But other than that, it's pretty, a few characters survive a little bit longer than they do in the book, or vice versa. Some of them don't last as long as they do in the book. And like I said, I'm behind on this season, so I can't talk about that. But the show itself is just so good. I watched the first season. I was first episode, it's going a little bit slow, but it's interesting enough. And then there's this huge cliffhanger at the end of the first episode. I'm like, what? Okay, and that kind of got me started. And the whole show is just a roller coaster of just action, good story, and do not fall in love with characters because they will be gone.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I hear. They are not afraid to kill off characters, which I kind of respect. Well,
and the thing is with Martin, he's inspired by Tolkien and a lot of the great fantasy writers of 19th, 20th, and 20th centuries. But what he wanted to do is it wasn't about this happy-go-lucky adventure and the good guys are always winning. He wanted to make it more dark and real to medieval, kind of that time period, anyways. And the thing is, like, there's not really, the good guys aren't always that good, and the bad guys aren't always that bad.
Right. Everyone's a shade of gray.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, the good guys aren't necessarily gonna win all the time.
Right.
Like the main family, the Starks. A lot of them don't survive.
Right.
And that was the crazy thing about the books too, where the characters are like, oh man, this character is really awesome. I can't wait to see him. Like, oh, whoa, crap, he's dead. I guess he's not gonna be in the next book. Yes. I remember after reading that, I was like, are you freaking kidding me? They killed off the main character? What? And really, the character isn't the main character of this story is not the characters themselves. It's like it's the world system. It's the throne that everyone is after. That's the main character.
Right, the Iron Throne.
Yeah, and that's kind of unique. And that's why I think the show is so awesome. That the characters that they bring on to portray these characters are just, I mean, they kill it. They absolutely kill it. So I know you haven't gotten into it yet, Andy, but I trust me, you gotta watch it.
All right. I mean, when I'm not working.
And hey, at the very least. If you want to just see a lot of naked bodies, well, it's there.
Good to know. Good to know. I mean, I know that's like I think in any show, it's like it's one of especially on HBO, it's like one of the top like selling points. Oh yeah, I see some boobies, but but I mean, just like the story, the things I've been hearing, like just like the graphic nature of like the scenes, like it's they it's like there's they're saying that it kind of puts porn to shame or whatever and all that stuff. So
there's some really weird shit that happens in that show. That's like, it's kind of where it's like, ooh, that's not sexy, that's just cringeworthy. Like I will say this is one difference from the books, is that some of the girl characters that are one thing that they never really talk about is age in the show, because in the books, a lot of the girls that are kind of getting fucked essentially, they're like kids, like they're some of them are like 10 or like 12 years old or younger, and which is really disgusting.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, maybe historically accurate, but freaking disgusting.
Yeah, but they can't legally. They can't really like. So that's why they get around that by like they just don't.
They just don't mention age. Yeah, no one has a birthday.
Like the real fans. Yeah, the real fans understand that that's what's going on, but they don't like. They can't broadcast that as far as. Just. Yeah. So that's one thing that they didn't carry over from the books, is talking about the ages. But yeah, like some of the female characters that, wow, like they're good looking.
Okay. There's some bunch of messages in the chat. Let me just quickly. So I guess this is when we're talking about Face Off. But Daryl says his one was his better roles was in Face Off. Talking about John Travolta, probably.
Yeah.
Daryl also says also like Broken Arrow. Okay.
I haven't seen Broken Arrow, but Face Off was, I thought, John Travolta and Nick Cage were really good in that.
Yeah. Movie. And then when they switched, it was still perfect, I think.
Yeah.
Because Nick Cage is kind of like that kind of quirky, nutty kind of actor, also. So
he's one of those guys where it's like sometimes he's on, and like his portrayal is like, his character is like, man, he kicked its ass, and he did a great job. And then there's other ones where it's like, this is garbage. Like he must have been really desperate for a role, because he really phoned it in.
I guess this is Brandon. I guess this is when we're talking about or at least me not watching Game of Thrones, but he says shame, shame, shame.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. That's a great.
I mean, I know what I know. I mean, I don't watch Game of Thrones, but I'm aware of like the references.
Yeah.
So.
Well, yeah. Once you start watching it, that's a big moment.
Yeah.
Because the character that happens to, oh man, let me tell you that. Oh, she's a piece of work, man. But she's smart. She's smart, but man, you hate her. There's a lot of characters you're gonna be like, fuck this guy. I want him to die. I hate her. He's terrible. They need to die. And then sometimes the characters will switch on you. It's like, hey, wait a second. That character is not so bad. And some of the characters that you like, you end up hating. And then there's just some that just end up being just awful the entire time. That they there's one character that you'll when you're first watching, starting first season, that you hate him from the beginning, and you will hate him until the moment that he finally does die. Oh God, Joffrey. Oh, I hate that kid. The funny. I always think it's kind of funny is like these actors that play these just shit characters that everyone hates. I bet you, like, in real life, they're probably like the nicest people, and they just it's like, oh, I hate this guy. He needs to die. And he gets accosted on the streets. It's like, man, you're such a bastard. How could you do that?
It's like that. I don't know if you remember that show, Beverly Hills 90210, like from the 90s.
Yeah. I remember
that storyline where Donna's boyfriend's a dick and like abusive.
Yeah.
Well, one of those VH1 things. He was like recounting his time on that show, and then, when that, and then when he was in like in real life, people would come up to him and say, "Hey, man, you gotta be nicer to Donna." Talking about the characters and stuff. He's like, I'm an actor. That's just the character that I play. I'm not really, I'm not really an abusive asshole.
Oh yeah, there's it was the same thing. One of my favorite shows, it's been off the air for a while now, but The Shield was on FX, and there was one of the characters on that show. It was kind of a dill hole anyway. Like, kind of, he's a character that no one really cared for. It was well acted, but like he was just a shit character. Yeah. Like, he was a shitty guy, and the actor is just a super kind, nice guy. But people would go up on the streets and like, his character's name was Shane, and they're like, Shane, you're such a fucking asshole, like, and they just berate him. He's like, wait, but guys, I'm just playing a character. I'm a nice guy. Yeah. Because they before the last season started, they were having kind of interviews with the cast and stuff before episodes, and they were talking about like what did they remember from the show, and fans, and he's like, man, like, I got so much hate, like I'm a nice guy. Yeah. It was just kind of, he was having fun with it and all that, but it was just it's funny how that happens, is we get so invested in these characters that we like or hate them so much.
But for me, it's like it's always a testament of an actor for me that if they get me to hate them, because I think I recounted this story before, but growing up a little bit in the 80s, I grew up with Lethal Weapon, and and Danny Glover, he was like the lovable dad, And then, like, years later in high school, when we watched The Color Purple, and then I got introduced to Mister, I was like, oh my God, Danny Glover is a piece of shit. And for a little time, for a little bit of time, I did hate Danny Glover's guts. Can you hear me? Rob? Can you hear me? I can't hear you. Shoot. Alright, do what you gotta do, Rob. while Robert tries to get that sorted out, I guess I'll just take over here and let's just catch up on some of the comments. Well, some of them are for Robert, so I guess I have to. Just let me know when you can hear me, Rob. You're doing so well, too. Oh, God, Jesus. Let's see. At the beginning. Oh, you need to start at the beginning, so it makes sense. Otherwise, yeah, up to date. Yeah, yeah. Of course, I'll watch the Game of Thrones from the beginning. I'm not gonna be an idiot and just come in the middle. I mean, although, you know, I have, you know, because, you know, there's the internet. You know, I'm familiar with like all the, you know, little references to the show, like, you know, the shame or like the Hodor and all that stuff. So, but yeah, I will definitely, of course, start at the beginning. You know, I'm not gonna be the jackass that just, you know, comes in the middle. Spoiler alert before you start talking about storyline ass. Oh, sorry. You guys need to watch the show Rome. It was so awesome. Yes, I did watch it, and it's my favorite HBO show. Yeah, because I particularly love ancient Roman history, and I'm fascinated with ancient Roman culture. So yeah, that was my jam back in the day. Yeah, Rob is still out of commission, so I'll just catch up on these. Daryl says, "You're right. I saw the Rome show before I went, so I was watching The Crown of Thorns, but on the Roman one is very good as well. I'm not quite sure what you mean there, Daryl, but take your word for it. The kid who played Joffrey actually gets verbally attacked and yelled at on the street. He said, well, yeah, again, a testament to his acting ability, I suppose. You know, because again, you know, I love Danny Glover, as Murtaugh, but but when I saw him in Color Purple, you know, as Mister, I freaking hated his guts, man. Let's see. A little off topic, but Mila Kunis get yelled at by fans. A Family Guy. She said she gets. Well, shut up, Mick. The most by fans. That's too funny. That's too funny. Bussy? Busey? Not quite sure what that is in reference to. Okay, we lost Robert. Yes, we did. We lose Robert. Let's see. That's why I know you'll like the. I probably think you mean Game of Thrones, Rob, Daryl, because puts trays. Oh, it portrays the period of time. All right. Hopefully, this means we have Robert back. Answer the bloody. Oh, okay. son of a bitch. Oh, sorry, y'all. I was trying to answer Robert's call, but all right, you back?
All right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
we
hear
got
you. Yeah, I was just yay, ladies and gentlemen, we have Rob back. Okay.
Apologize for the my mic cutting out.
No worries, it happens. I was just catching up everybody on the chat. Oh, okay. You were talking about Lethal Weapon Busey. Well, we were, but we weren't necessarily talking about Gary Busey's character. Oh, there's a comment from Brandon.
Oh, okay. So we were talking about Lethal Weapon now.
Oh well, because I had mentioned Lethal Weapon and how the color purple made me hate Danny Glover.
Oh yeah, I remember we've had that discussion too. Where I forgot that he was part of that, but yeah, I remember that now. Where it was just like because I loved Danny Glover and his portrayal in Lethal Weapon, but his color purple. Hated him.
Yeah, Mr. Oh my God, I hated Mr. so much. But I mean, again, it's a testament to Danny Glover's acting ability.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Another character that I remember from Malcolm in the Middle was the dad. What was his name? I'm blanking on his name at the moment.
Bryan Cranston.
Yes, thank you, Bryan Cranston. Where he was kind of this goofy comedy type of guy, but then he gets a role like in Breaking Bad, and I was like, why'd they choose this guy? Like he's just a comedy guy, and then his acting, I was like, holy crap, he actually can play a dramatic role, and he killed it. I mean,
he acted the crap out of
him as Walter White. Yeah, him as Walter White was just amazing. Another guy too, and he got his own spin-off was the
Saul guy.
Yeah, Saul Goodman. What's his name? I know his name too. I'm just it's getting to that point where ideas are just flying out of my head.
Yeah.
But
are you on your tablet?
Yeah.
Is there any possible way you could pull it away just a little bit because your face is slightly cutting up? There it is. Perfect.
Are we better? All right. Sorry.
Perfect. No worries.
But he's a comedy guy too, and his him playing Saul Goodman, he's funny, but he plays that character so well.
Okay.
And it's kind of him talking about him doing that role is he has a hard time remembering dialogue and whatnot. So he just comes up with these giant crazy monologues, and he lives some stuff here and there, and
I didn't even know.
Yeah, it's kind of cool how how some of these guys do their work, and the group that does Breaking Bad, that did Breaking Bad, and is doing Better Call Saul, is they actually get a lot of guys that are actually comedic actors, and let them do their thing, and they do the dramatic roles very well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of cool that how that kind of worked out.
Right. Yeah. That's really really cool to hear, because not all I guess does he do stand up also, or is he just more of a comedic actor?
He does stand up, or he has done stand up. That's how he got famous. He did a lot of sketch comedy shows.
Uh-huh.
And been in some bit roles movie wise, but this is the role of Saul Goodman is what really kind of threw him into the spotlight really big time.
Right. Well, then that makes sense, because not all comedians are good actors, and so
right.
He may be a little bit more comfortable, being more off the cuff and just kind of spitting things off the top of the dome, and so I guess you kind of have to let the talent kind of play to their strengths at times. And so,
Right,
if this, if he's used to like stand up and just kind of like delivering like these long kind of monologues or like going into like diatribes, then I think I think that was I think as the director, I think that was a good call.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Mm.
But yeah, lots of good shows out there to watch. Either currently going on or that are done with, but still worth watching.
Mm.
If you haven't seen Breaking Bad, go see that. That's kind of one of those must-watch shows. The Shield, that's another one.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good must-watch. Game of Thrones is a must-watch.
Yeah. Oh wait, let me just get Rock This Way. John Jones got caught with steroids again. Shake my head. That John Jones.
Dude, that guy is like he's done.
Yeah.
He's
What is this? This is like what is wait, this is like is this only a second time or I thought it was maybe
it feels like it's more than that.
Yeah.
Well, he's been in so much trouble with a bunch of different stuff that I feel like he's just done in general. I think people are tired of him.
Mm.
He unfortunately he's damaged goods now, so it's kind of I think he's done, which is unfortunate because he has so much damn talent.
Right.
Taking his career away.
Mm. Right. One more. This is from Daryl. I'm not trying to. I'm now trying to get up to speed with the Marvel Shield on Netflix, and I've been going through it, and not from the beginning. It's great. I like it a lot. Yeah. Shield is a pretty good show.
I haven't the Agents of Shield. Some people say it starts off a little slow but gets a lot better.
First season, the first season is kind of slow. Second season is a little bit better. Third, I think Well, after the second season, it starts getting.
It picks up.
It starts picking up, especially when they start bringing in like the Inhumans. I think that's when they had like a big shot. They got a big shot in the arm with those storylines.
Yeah.
And so.
I'll get to that at some point. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, the Netflix Marvel shows are pretty dang good. I think Daredevil is the best.
Oh my god. It's funny because in the Defenders, like I was more excited to see Daredevil just because it's been a longer time since the last season.
Right.
So I was really excited to see Daredevil.
But I liked his. I like the Daredevil. Anyways, I think he's a cool character.
Yeah.
It was kind of nice because the Ben Affleck portrayal of him was that movie was so bad.
Kind of was.
The way that he, and not that Ben Affleck is bad because I do like his acting.
Right.
And he's done a better job as Batman. I'll give him that. I mean, he's actually been a pretty good Batman.
Yeah.
But his portrayal of Daredevil was not very good, and then Jennifer Elektra was just really bad. So they fixed that in this show where the those characters are much better represented. But I also kind of like the Jessica Jones as well, just because I like some of the sleuthy mystery part of the show.
The noir kind of aspect. The noir kind of aspect, like the detective.
Yeah. Yeah, and I tend to like those type of shows and movies a lot. So
right.
It was kind of cool. It wasn't just about her superpowers. I mean, that played a big part, and the guy that she was going after had special powers, but just the idea that it wasn't just all about that.
Right.
I mean, there was definitely good action, but I liked the mystery, sleuthing type of, atmosphere to it as well.
Uh-huh. Yeah, like that noir
and just
thing.
is kind of like a cool, like, dark character as well.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of characters, I've always gravitated more towards Marvel characters, just because of what is it? Because DC characters are more archetypal. They fit like a pre-existing like model, like like Superman or Batman. Like the ultimate good and like the kind of like the dark, kind of brooding anti-hero. But yeah, Marvel characters, they're broken people, and like the Fantastic Four, they're a family, and they hated their powers initially, and
Right.
and Iron Man, he was an alcoholic, and what is it? The X-Men, they're people with like flawed genes,
Right.
So on and so forth, and I mean, I guess just because of my own experience, it was just more Marvel characters were just more relatable to me.
What's kind of interesting though is like, because I've been more of a DC guy because that was just the comics that I read, not necessarily because I hated Marvel so much, but the one thing I liked about DC is, especially with Batman, like the villains. Some of the villains were really interesting. Kind of the same idea, the flawed characters that bad in some cases. Like Mr. Freeze is a very tragic figure.
Well, I mean, I think what helped them with that character was the animated series. Because I think in the comic books and in the Adam West era live action, he was more of like a clown. But in the '90s animated series, they gave him like depth, and they gave him like a really good backstory, and like which made him a sympathetic character. And yeah.
Yeah, well, that was my first run-in with Mr. Freeze. That's what I remember.
Oh, okay.
Some of the comic portrayal is different for him.
Right. Yeah.
But even like Batman himself.
I was just saying. I was just remembering that like in the early comic book, Mr. Freeze, and like the Adam West era live action. Yeah, he was like more like a goofy trickster, and he didn't really have a backstory, but. It wasn't until in the '90s with the animated series that Tim Bruce and I forget who the other one is, but they gave him like that really good tragic backstory of him like trying to save his wife, and the reason why he has to be in that cold suit is because of an accident, and it just made him like more of a sympathetic character. It was like probably the best thing that they, the best decision ever made for a character.
Yeah, well, and Batman himself is also kind of the hero, and like he wants to clean up the streets of Gotham, but the way like as far as the way he deals with like relationships and stuff, where he wants desperately to be close with people, and he wants to train. Like he obviously takes in like these orphans and like help trains them and stuff like that. But as he gets close to them, he has to also make sure that he keeps his distance as well. And it's kind of that like you feel so bad for him. It's like, man, you wish he would just let go, but he can't let go of like that.
Yeah,
he can't let go of
his mission.
Yeah,
you just can't let that go.
Yeah, and the other thing is, a lot of people point out that why Batman and Superman are so interesting, other than the just them being interesting comic book characters, is that
just their contrasting elements.
Whereas in the sense where Clark Kent is really who Superman is, and Superman is more of just his like what he takes on, whereas Bruce Wayne is the mask, and Batman is really who he is.
Yeah.
That's what I find interesting about those two characters, and I think that's why there's so many, like, why they like to see those two characters interact so much. But I hear, with Superman, it's kind of hard to write. It's been said it's really hard to write stories for him because he's like really powerful, but he's kind of this very kind of truth, justice, American way, kind of very the prototypical, like, I'm the good guy, and
he's like because the thing is he's unwavering, and I mean I know there are attempts to like make him more brooding or reflective, like especially in like the Zack Snyder like movies where he's like, do I really want to be a hero?
But they didn't make him brooding. They made him kind of whiny, which I didn't like that. I didn't like that at all.
Or like one of the criticism is they made him too much like Batman.
Yeah, and that's
and then
the thing.
the whole thing about like their fight together was it's like these competing kind of stances, like, but in the movie you couldn't really tell the two apart really. I mean,
yeah,
they kind of both had like the same stance about defending people or well, Batman was all about like if there's like this super powerful being and there's nothing we can do to stop him, and if there's like even that's at that line, it's like even if there's like a 1% chance that he can be our enemy, we have to take it as absolute absolute fact.
Well, it's like Batman and Iron Man are a lot alike in that sense.
Right.
The one thing I do really enjoy about Superman, though, are some of the villains like Brainiac and like Lex Luthor. Who else am I thinking of too? There's and like Darkseid. That was another guy that he like fought as well, and those are always, I think, really interesting bad guys in the Superman series.
Yeah, although I do like, again, with the animated series, I think it was a stroke of genius that they made Brainiac the supercomputer that was on Krypton, as opposed to
I agree.
As opposed to this external force, which he was in the comic books. He was from a race of techno-organic beings called the Kaluans. Yeah, I'm nerding out super hard right now, but I don't care.
No, me too.
And so like them turning Brainiac, and I guess he was he a Superman villain, right? Yeah, he was a Superman villain. And
yeah.
But I guess they had like an interweaving history because Brainiac is the one that came and just before like the planet Krypton exploded, came and like absconded with their capital city, and so
you're right.
But just like them for the animated series, taking that just another step, just slightly skewing the angle a little bit and making Brainiac the supercomputer that pretty much ran everything on Krypton, and like making it even more personal tie-in to Superman. I think that was stroke of genius.
Yeah, well, and that was the thing. Like my first interaction with comic book characters were like the Superman and Batman animated series, and that's what really got me into it. And obviously I know like later on, like earlier on they had like Brainiac was a little bit different, but I like the idea that Brainiac essentially what he did was he sucked up all the information and did not. He's essentially why like no one else but Clark was able to get off of Krypton because Brainiac didn't allow them enough time. But he's just such the way that they portrayed him in the animated series. Man, he was such a great character.
Mm-hmm.
The voice actor for Brainiac was really good, and I like that twist to his character.
Just quickly, Daryl, I don't know if you guys have discussed it, but we've lost two great comics in the last week. Of course, everyone remembers Jerry Lewis. Of course. Who was the other one?
I don't. I know. I heard yesterday that Jerry Lewis died. I didn't know who the other. I mean, I know Don Rickles died. A few months ago.
Oh, right. Another one from Daryl. They kind of changed his personality, Superman, when they came out with Supergirl. They interact as cousins, and the way they kind of massage both characters, that it's actually pretty good. Yeah. Although, I'm not that knowledgeable when it comes to Supergirl. I mean, I don't even watch the TV show.
I haven't watched Supergirl either. And did you ever watch Smallville? Did you watch that show at all?
Yeah, until it stopped being fun.
I kind of want to see what happens a little bit, but
I mean, because I thought it was a good premise. Like, they're gonna go and do like these pre-adventures with Clark Kent in Smallville, but I think they're running out of ideas, and so they kind of fast tracked it into getting him off to into Metropolis, and then starting the Justice League and
yeah,
that other kind of stuff. And it's like, come on, man, you guys really couldn't do anything more with that line of that storyline of him just Clark Kent as a teenager. What was he like? What did he do? I mean, they kind of did that in the, I think, late 80s, early 90s with the Superboy show.
See, I don't remember anything about that.
Yeah, it was kind of in the vein of Smallville, but he was more like a young, I think just out of college or whatever, and he started working at the Daily Planet or whatever, but he was he was still a boy.
Got it.
So, but other than that, I don't know.
Well, I think we're at the hour mark now, so I think we should say goodbye to the audience and
Right. Okay.
Have a good one.
All right, that, ladies and gentlemen, has been our show for this evening. Thank you for joining us. If you're watching this after it's been archived, maybe try and catch the show live. Just a suggestion. And we had a much livelier chat this time around. But if you come and join us on the regular time, 8 p.m. right here on the Circle of Jerks podcast, you will be able to come and join and hang out with us and interact with us. And if there's any specific topic that you would like us to discuss, I'm not saying that we will. I mean, this is our show, and we'll do whatever the hell we want. We don't, you're not our boss. Can't tell us what to do. But, I mean, and then not saying that we'll necessarily be knowledgeable on it, but we might, we'll try and cover it, and we'll try to give you our opinions the best that we're able to. So yeah, join us again next week, same time, 8 p.m. Tuesdays. Don't forget to follow us on our social medias, on Instagram at Circle of Jerks Podcast, and on Twitter at Podcast COJ. And don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to check out the regular podcast. I know we haven't done one in a little bit. We just been it's been kind of hard.
Getting the whole crew together. But maybe we'll just try to get whoever we can, and so just so you can have the regular podcast. Also, just for you gamers out there, special announcement: we are dropping our new show, Up by Up Down. It'll be published on this channel
This Thursday. What is that?
24th.
24th?
Yeah.
Is that right? That is correct. It'll be the 24th. And this first episode is just kind of a game playthrough, and also a commentary by the homeboy Rob. So be on the lookout for that. And I think that about covers it. So thank you again for joining us. Please do it again. Please come back next week. Until next time. Later.
See you next time.